It seems like there are always games that are late to the party on any given platform. Games that are kind of incredible, but almost completely ignored because there's some hot new console out. And Shantae is one of those games, released on the Game Boy Color well after the Game Boy Advance had hit the scene and become a massive hit. And at first blush, for maybe the first level or so, Shantae doesn't appear to be that incredible. Platforming is fun enough, but it's hard to see what people saw in it to fawn over it as much as they do. But then, you get out of that introductory sequence, and it becomes immediately clear that Shantae is really something special. That moment you're first let loose in your first hub town, you realize that this game is doing things that are frankly amazing on a Game Boy Color, from pseudo 3D effects to approximations of lighting. This game has shadows. Those visual effects play off the amazing pixel art very well, and combined, they make Shantae look absolutely incredible even now, and completely stunning when you consider the platform it was released on. The other surprising thing that makes Shantae really unique is its semi-open world nature. Well, this isn't exactly some sprawling open-world RPG like a Bethesda game. The fact remains that Shantae has an interconnected world where you can leave the safety of a town, run through some side-scrolling platforming segments, and eventually make your way to the next town. Run back through those same segments, and you'll arrive again in the first town you visited. Everything is interconnected, and the game takes great advantage of that, with the story constantly making you experience areas you've already visited in fun new ways, opening doors that were previously sealed, and finding new paths through them. You'll notice I haven't really talked much about how the game actually plays from a combat perspective, and that's because it's not exactly Shantae's standout feature. The game has a relatively forgiving combat system. Most enemies don't do all that much damage, and you have quite a bit of health, and that it takes them a bit for them to chew through. That's not where this game's challenge comes from. Instead, it often comes from the platforming. Despite its sprawling and interconnected nature, the world of Shantae also has a whole hell of a lot of bottomless pits that will instantly kill you if you fall down them. It can be frustratingly unforgiving at times. Still, I think this game as a whole makes up for that one shortcoming. I think the game overall is still a lot of fun, and eventually you do get a feel for the game's platforming mechanics, and as you do so, you'll fall into the bottomless pits much less. It's fun to just make your way through the world, traversing the platforming sections and going from one town to another, wandering through the town when you get there. This game is something that feels completely out of time, from another world where the Game Boy Color had a much longer lifespan, and developers had more time to maximize the capabilities of a system in a way that they didn't really have time for before the release of the GBA. Games like Shantae and Resident Evil Gaiden prove that the Game Boy Color had a lot of capability that was underutilized. But its death would also lead to one of the greatest handheld consoles of all time, so the sin is somewhat forgivable.